And it will be a season of suddenlies. Okay, y'all? God is saying in this season that it will be a season of suddenlies. All right. I just want to talk to someone who has been wandering in the wilderness for quite some time now. And because they've been wandering in the wilderness, they feel like God has forgotten about them, right? But I'm going to tell y'all, I was just cleaning up, had a quite busy day, but I wasn't even planning on releasing this word. And I heard God say, as I was about to dust, right? I heard God say literally, and it will be a season of suddenlies. And this is just what I want to say to someone, right? Just to give, without giving too many details, right? A little bit of my testimony is that, God had told me in the beginning of the year to host a conference called When Men Cry Out. And I did it out of obedience, y'all. So I have a private practice here in the state of Virginia. And out of obedience, I trusted God. And I said, okay, God, I am going to have this conference. And I said, but God, with me having this conference, it took a lot out of me spiritually, it took a lot out of me emotionally, and it tested my faith, right? However, it was when I birthed that conference, right? And when I did what God called me to do, y'all, guess what? As soon as I went to work, I heard God say the next day, like the week after the conference was I had birthed it, I heard God say, apply. And the thing about it is that my friend had gave me a prophetic word a couple of months, it was back in November, right? So like I said, I had the conference in June. My friend gave me a prophetic word in November, and that was when, after I gave birth, the full circle moment came, right? Where I sat down, was soon about to sit down at the seat of my desk, and I heard God say, apply. And it wouldn't have registered to me that well if it wasn't for the fact that my friend had already had a dream that captured where I was supposed to apply to. Y'all, this is the thing that gets me. I applied to the position, okay? And in applying for the position, it was for the same position that my friend had told me that I was going to get the job at. Right. And the thing that gets me about this situation, y'all, and I just need y'all to hear me, is that God never misses. So it was a suddenly, okay? It felt like forever that I was planning a conference, right? It felt like that. And then when I finally had the conference, it was like, woo, finally. And then it went from a finally to a suddenly. The suddenly was, okay, you gave birth to the conference, now apply. And then after applying, right, y'all? After applying, y'all, I'm hearing God speak prophetically in my ear. I'm so sorry. After applying, y'all, it was like it stalled for about a week. And then after that, I had an interview. Then after that, I had another interview. And then after that, I was getting a job offer. And so it was sudden. It was no delay in it at all. It was just a season of suddenlies. And what God is saying at this moment in time is that this is the season of suddenly. And also, y'all, I'm hearing God say, this is a season of acts. This is the season of acts. Blessed yekere moroko mereke. Why is God saying this in this season, y'all? Because God... Okay, for those of you who have been faithful, for those of you who have been doing what God has called you to do, for those of you who have been doing the things, the tasks that God has placed on your agenda, if God told you to write the book and you started, if God told you to podcast and you began, if God told you to host a conference and you did it, and you didn't worry about the financial provision, you just trusted God to make provision, and then guess what? God did. For those of you who have been seeking God's face, and not only did you seek him, but when he responded with the answer, you responded back with the action. God is saying this is the season of the acts. Okay? The season of the acts is that if you trust in God, like you say you trust in God, and you have faith in God, like you say that you have faith in God, then when God tells you to do something, you're going to act on it, and you're not going to worry about provision. You're just going to trust God and lean not into your own understanding, because this is your suddenly season. And when there is a suddenly season, right? You can't be stalling. Because God is saying move, so you move. Also, let me tell you why this is a season of Acts, but because I was just where I was at. The day that he told me to apply, I heard God say the grace is running out here. Okay. And I don't know about y'all, but if you know anything about when a grace runs out of a place, that means that you have a limited threshold before you can get out of that place, before it comes with more severe consequences. Now, the thing about it is that I know that where I was at, I was placed there. I was placed there for a reason, and it helped me tremendously to grow in my career. But I also am not stupid. I know that when God tells me to move, I got to move, and my disobedience will cause me to run into consequences that God never even had planned for me. And that's the same for you. Actions, right? We're talking about a season of faith. We're talking about a season of suddenly. We're talking about the season of the acts and the season of the suddenly. It can't be the season of the acts and the suddenly if you're stagnated, if you're not moving. But the thing about it is, it wasn't until I worked my faith. One morning, I pulled up in the garage at work and I was over it. And I heard God say, put in your notice. And I put in my notice. And it was when I put in the notice that God permitted the interview to come. The place that my friend had a dream that I would get hired at was the place that literally hired me at. Literally. A place that my friend never heard of before. A place that I had heard about intermittently, but never would have imagined or thought it would be my next. What's my next? And so in this season, if God tell you to move, I'm hearing God say, it was this song, right, by a rapper called Ludacris. And he said, when I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Just like that. And let me talk to y'all about movement in the spiritual realm. Okay? Whenever God shows you something through a prophetic dream, or he gives you a vision, or he shows you something through a prophetic messenger, this is what I want y'all to know. Whenever God does stuff like that, he's showing you what's happening in the spiritual realm. That's already in works. It's already in action. So a prime example of this is the scripture that says, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Your kingdom come, meaning your kingdom comes down to the earth, to earth side. And when it comes earth side, the way that I'm seeing it, the way that it is already established in heavenly places is the way that it needs to walk out on the earth realm. Okay, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it already is established in heaven. So what does that mean? That means that when God gives a vision, a dream, okay, he's literally just showing you what's already happened in the spiritual realm. And now your action needs to meet the action of that's already taken place in heaven. So if God shows you something that's already happened, what he's showing you is that you need to make your action, make the steps to get to this place. For an example, when God showed my friend this particular agency that I would be employed with, it was in November. God showed her that in November, and it wasn't until after I birthed something and I heard the word apply. That's an action. Apply is an action word, and that's what made her the kingdom come. God showing her the next for me, the next job for me, and my actions made it happen earthside. Something that was spiritual was already existed in the spiritual realm, now exists earthside. So I'm here to let someone know we are in a season of suddenlies. We are in a season of the acts. And so don't get caught up in your weariness, because you are about to come out of the wilderness, but you cannot enter into the promised land if you don't have a spirit of building. Because the promised land is work too. The promised land will cause you to have to build. And so in the process of building, in the process of establishing, in the process of God establishing you, he said, when I move, you move. Just like that. He's saying act. He's saying suddenly. I love y'all. Be blessed.